Hi, my name is Richard Bash. I'm the Deputy Chief of Police of the City of Columbus. This video was born out of frustration. Frustration because we have so many young people who are shooting and killing other young people. And it's become apparent that we're not going to be able to arrest our way out of this dilemma. Here, we've been fortunate enough to have the cooperation of the warden, Norm Robinson, to allow some of the inmates here to share their stories and to talk about how their decisions at a very young age changed their lives forever and changed the lives of their victims forever. I want you to listen to these stories and understand that even though some of these men are much, much older than you are, they've lived through what you are living through today. They've walked in your shoes and they have a very unique perspective. And I hope that you listen to their wisdom.
When I first got to prison, I was blown back. I've never been incarcerated like that before. I've been in the county jails, but never at this level. You know, I was at close maximum security prison, and my mind was going everywhere because I was trying to digest this. You know, the whole what had happened. Well, to tell you the truth, I wasn't thinking because, you know, alcohol and firearms doesn't match. You know, they don't match. You don't put them together. And when I did that, that threw all reason out the door. And I wasn't thinking that, you know, a gun could go off, you know, with me mishandling it, you know, and especially as drunk as we was at that night. A firearm and, you know, a beer or a shot of whiskey, you know, you wouldn't even really compare them. But if you put them both together, that's a deadly mixture because, you know, you lose reasoning, you lose the thinking capability of handling that firearm in a responsible way. And then you add anger to a situation, and then it pretty much puts an explosion, you know, you have an explosion right there waiting to go. There's a, you know, I've put it through my mind several times, you know, in the past 24 years, you know, about what could I have done differently, you know, and I know what I could have done differently. You know, first of all, you know, the drugs and the alcohol, it was a major contributor to it, but also, you know, the gun safety, you know, not being responsible enough to have that gun in my possession and understanding that I can't drink when I have that. And when you take that first sip or you take that first toke of the joint or pop that pill that, you know, mom and dad's got some prescription drugs laying around the house that, you know, that's maybe they don't use anymore, but it's still there. You know, when you think about using that stuff, think about your life, think about what you want to do, your goals and your ambitions, you know, to be a maybe a lawyer or a doctor or, you know, RN or somebody that, you know, an entrepreneur. Once you do that, those decisions and those chances of becoming that successful person, they diminish all the way down to almost nothing, you know, and then you're stuck at dead-end jobs and things like that, and you don't want to do that. When I took that first sip of alcohol, I didn't understand what it was going to do to me. I didn't know that I was going to be dependent on that for all my life, you know, till I was 25 years old. I never thought anything about that. One of the things that it took away from me is to be able to be a father, to raise my children in the correct way. When I come to prison, you know, when I came to prison, I sobered up. I took some classes. I was able to start thinking right and start educating myself. But my hopes and my dreams of becoming a musician. I'm a musician. I love music. Yes, I play for the church, you know, inside the prison and stuff, but I surely would have liked to have been able to taught my, you know, son how to play or my grandson how to play. And that's not going to happen. You know, my dreams of, you know, becoming a, a mechanic or a race car driver. I love cars. I love to work on motors and things like that. I haven't touched a motor in 24 years. I haven't been able to do anything like that. I have a passion for woodworking. I love cabinetry. I made cabinets. Not been able to do that. Education, I'm limited to what education I get, how much money I can make. All that, was hampered by that one decision of, popping that first top off of that beer or that, shot of whiskey or, any kind of drugs laying, like I said, laying around the house. That decision made my life a little more closed in. I put a ceiling on my expectations. When you're responsible for somebody else's death, the way I am, that weighs real heavy on you. Like I said, it's been over 24 years ago since that tragedy happened, and there's not a day that goes by that I'm not challenged by the haunting memories of what happened. Some nights I lay awake in bed and I can't sleep because images of what could I have done better? Why couldn't I have just, been a regular person, and not been drunk, not hung around, the, friends that I had, so-called friends and stuff. It's tore a big part of my, my normal life. It's tore it away. And then that's not even compared to what it's done for the community, done to the community and where I'm from, a lot of people, they still remember it. When my parents, they go down the street, that emotional state for me to hear that somebody may have, said something derogative towards them, about the situation, that it tears me up because my mom and dad, they're good Christian people right now. They tried to raise me better, but I was an outward type of guy. I wanted to do it my way. But what contributed to that was that need and that want, that lust for the alcohol. And basically, to being away from my children at, that early age, I wanted so much to be able to be in their life. But I was never there. And that's not going to happen. So that tears into my mind, my thinking. And only by the grace of God, am I hanging on right now. We don't enlighten ourselves to, the possibilities of never, ever getting out of jail. We don't never understand that, I may die in here. I hope not, I hope that God has a way to get me up out of here, but guess what? That's not a given. So to understand the reaction from one action, don't pick up, and pay attention to what myself and a lot of the other fellows are saying, because guess what? This is not a fun thing. My eating habits are controlled in here. My sleeping habits are controlled in here. I can't go to the grocery store and buy something. I can't go to, the shoe store and buy a brand new pair of shoes. I got to wear state shoes. I got to wear the same uniform every single day. And this is not a luxury. This is by no means a luxury place. They tell you what to do. They tell you when you have to go to bed. So guess what? It's not a place to be.
A lot of drinking that day, a lot of smoking that day. So it was a lot of alcohol, a lot of smoking weed, and just it was start off the day of just a crazy day for me. I found out that my son's mother was pregnant, and I had a lot of stuff on my heart, heavy. Like, I don't have a job. How I'm gonna take care of my son? So we're at this little bad neighborhood, and I sold drugs at the time, crack cocaine, and I regret that a lot for even selling drugs, man. I wasn't that type of guy I was. I was a really bad guy. I mean, that day, I regret that. That's a horrible day, man. No person should experience that, you know. I mean, I hate going back to it, but I have to, you know, I gotta be honest. You know, I took a man's life. It should never have been taken. Now this guy can't, you know, his family can't even see, you know, see their father no more, you know. And it hurts me, man, because I shouldn't have to, you know, I shouldn't did what I did. I still think about that every other day or whatever when I wake up in the morning, that I took somebody's life, man. If I didn't have a gun that day, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. Because my son's mother paged me that same night, a couple minutes before it happened. But my being in that alcohol and smoking state, I don't know. So, I mean, I can't even answer that, but at the time I was still kind of young and dumb, man. I was doing stupid stuff, and I was thinking about how to feed my son, how to feed my kid. But that's not the right thing to do, you know. Not that robbing guys and all that. That's not good. That same night, if I had a chance to, the chance I would have had, I would have went home that night before anything happened. But at the heat of the moment, the choices that you make, that you make that one choice, you can't take it back. And I wish I could take it back. Yeah, carrying a gun was not, worth the time that I got now. I mean, carrying a gun, nobody should be carrying a gun, man. Even though I was carrying for protection or whatever, trying to be hip or whatever, carrying a gun, you don't want to do that, man. You destroy people's lives, destroy your lives, your family life. You know, I'm away from my family. I'm away from my son that I really care about. I love a lot, man. I miss time with him, taking him to school, going to sports events, stuff with him, man. And I miss that a lot. The kids out there, man, look, you don't want to get. You want to go to school. You want to be something out there, man. This is not the place for you. Locked up like me. I was 24. I'm at 25, almost locked up. Now I'm 45. You don't want no parts of this, man. I know his face. Every time I see him, I see his face, man. When I go to sleep, I see his face. When I wake up, I see his face. And his family, man, I know I hurt them, man. I got a remorse against his family a lot. I mean, I took him away from him, man. I took his kids. His kids, I took the father away from them, man. And I know they feel that certain way. I don't blame them, man. Whatever they feel, I can't judge them. I can't do none of that, man. I don't think I say I'm sorry. I have remorse for what I did, and I wish I could take it back.
And so my mindset back then was just about, you know, it was about just getting some money to try to pay the rent or whatever, but it ended up being so much more than that, to where a person lost their life. I was going through my trials in the courtroom, and the victim's daughter was there. And she was there during the duration of the whole trial. And I remember she was the only one there. You know, I remember, you know what I'm saying? I always look back and see her. And she never showed any emotion during the whole course of the trial, never showed anything. And then I remember when I got sentenced, I looked back, and that was the first time that I seen her cry, you know. And that's something that always stuck with me, because, you know, when somebody loss of life, you know, is bad enough, but when it comes by a violent crime, you know, just the thought of that woman lost her mother because of something that I had my hand in. And so her loss, and then I look at, we talk about my loss, what I've lost, you know, when I got locked up, my kids were 5 and 2, you know, so this past weekend I saw my son. He's 25 now, handsome young man, you know what I'm saying, but I missed his whole childhood. I missed the first day of school. I missed learning how to ride a bike, football games. a lot of him growing up to be a man. I missed my daughter's life. I missed, and the thing about it is on visits, I never wanted to hide anything from him. So when they asked me questions about, well, Dad, we feel like you abandoned us. Well, I did. You know what I'm saying? Because of my selfishness and because of my stupidity, I did abandon you. I didn't even think of you when I committed my crime, or your mom. So when I look at what I lost, it could have been worse. Praise be to God, it's not. My kids could hate me, but they don't. They love me when they come on visits, and I got a grandbaby now. So when they come on visits, they hug on me and they love on me, and that's something that the Lord has really blessed me with, because there are so many guys in here who don't have that. Well, this is something that that youngsters have to really watch out for. I'm an individual who grew up in a good home. Had a great dad, stepmom, raised up right, and when I got married and had my kids, we had a decent home life. So I'm not that dude that you would think is the gangbanger, or I'm the dude that's got the glasses on and got the nice, so you have to watch out for those, but you have to watch out for the so-called nice guys too, because see, they can deceive. We can put on a good, I can put on a good face for you. I can articulate well, as you can tell. I can talk very well. I don't use a lot of slang or anything like that. You have to watch out for underlying currents. What I mean by that is this. I can sit here and I can tell you about myself, and I can sell myself to you, and you may buy into me. The thing about it is this. When I get done selling myself to you, you have to watch my actions behind what I'm selling you. Because if my actions don't line up to what I'm telling you, then guess what? Then there's deception there. And that's what youngsters have to look out for. If somebody's selling you a bill of goods, make sure that what they're selling you lines up with their actions. Because if they don't, then that's a red flag there. And that's something that you have to watch out for. If I tell you, oh, well, hey, I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to come pick you up at 10 o'clock. You got my word on it, this, that, and the other. Well, 11:30 gets here and I'm still not there. Now you got to wonder, like, well, wait a minute, man. This dude said he's going to be here. And then there's a pattern of that. Well, man, you know what? I apologize. I wasn't there but I had to take the kids here. But then for a whole month, I tell you I'm going to be there at 10 o'clock. I'm still coming at 11:30, 12. And some days I don't even show up. So where's the dependability there? See, when people tell you something, when these youngsters, you have to realize, when somebody tells you something, check behind them and make sure that the bill of goods that they're selling you is actually what it is. Because if it's not, that's a sure sign that something's not right there. And always, and these kids have a gut feeling. That gut feeling is your spirit man trying to tell you something ain't right. So when you feel like, if that impression saying, wait a minute, I don't need to do that. You need to go with that and get the heck out of there. Because if not, you could end up landing yourself in a situation that you might not be able to get out of. I know that these youngsters are out there and they're looking for father figures, this, that, and the other, because of the fact what they didn't have. But the thing about it is this. There are so many youngsters out there that need mentors or need the right mold or the right direction to go, that are seeking it in the wrong places. And because of the fact that they're seeking it in the wrong places, they're going down paths that are going to lead to destruction. I got blessed to come to prison. I could have been dead. I could have been in my grave right now. But because God's grace and mercy was so good to me, I'm able to sit here in front of you now. Because really and truthfully, I deserve death for what I did. Just simple stuff, man. I'm not a hard guy to please, man. I lock down every day at 8:30. I like to go sit on the front porch sometime and catch the air. I like to sit and talk with my mom, sit and watch TV with my kids, color with my grandbaby. A lot of stuff that I miss that I don't get to have. I see a lot of guys leave all the time, and our parking lot sits out here and I see them go out to their families and hug them. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, they're finally out. Never had that opportunity, never had that chance. Not that I deserve it, but by God's grace and mercy, I'll get it one day. But I missed a lot. I'm sunsets, you know what I'm saying? Being out after 10 o'clock at night, sometimes just sitting on the porch, just simple things that I really missed out on that other people may take for granted. People have it every day, but the hustle and bustle of society today, how fast paced it is, they miss it. Me, one thing that I've watched my brothers and sisters grow up. They got kids. my mom and dad are getting older, and, you know, I talk to them, and, you know, my mom said that she just wants to see me out before she dies, you know, so it's like stuff like that I really miss, you know, but I know that I'm going to get it back, but it's like, when, you know what I'm saying? It's like when you're down as long as I've been, you always tend to ask the question, is it ever gonna come for me? You know, so your buddies may never get, you might run together, it may be a group of y'all running together, they may never get caught, but you will. And you'll pay with either your life or you'll pay with time. And this right here, I'm telling you, it is rough. It has been rough. God has blessed me through it, but there have been some tough times. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have made it through. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it wasn't anything else but him that carried me. Don't do it. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your family. If you got a mom that loves you, then go home before the street lights come on, bro. Get there. You know what I'm saying? If you have a brother or sister that loves you, man, go home. There's always a reason to go home. Get away from that. If you don't have a home, just get away from the area. Get away from those individuals. Get away from anything that will bring destruction into your life. You got to get away from it, because if you don't, it's going to continue to drag you down, and you'll end up here. You know, there are men in this institution right now in their 90s. They have been locked up for decades. I've been locked up for 2. I know a guy here that's been locked up since 1972. 46 years he's been locked up. So I'm telling you, like, this is the reality of the situation. You can get into a situation to where you don't think it's going to be that bad. I'm just going to go in here and do this, that, and the other, and it turns into something completely different.
I've been incarcerated this is my 37th year.
How old were you when you first?
I was 18 years old when I got locked up. I started out with a 38-month sentence, 3 years and 2 months is what I came to prison with. And that turned into, I'm now on my 37th year. When you come into prison, especially as a young person, there's a lot of trials and tribulations and things that you go through, and there's no guarantee coming into prison that if you come in with a short sentence that you're going to leave when that sentence is up. I came in with a short sentence, and I've got 37 years, and now I'm on my 37th year. I started out with 3 years, 38 months, 3 years and 2 months. The decisions prior to that were not listening not listening to the people that loved me and people that cared, and involving myself in drugs and alcohol. That's the decisions that led me to where I was at that night in the bar. Not, I wasn't even old enough to be in there drinking at the time. Not listening to the people that loved me, that told me every day, you need to straighten up and do something with your life. And being young, you think you're invincible. Nothing can hurt you. Nothing can touch you, but it can, and it did me. That one decision of going in there and taking something from someone that wasn't mine changed my life. I've been in prison for 37 years, my whole adult life, every day of it, and don't know when I'm getting out. I still see the parole board, but I don't know, I still have no clue as to when and if it's going to end. And it only takes one. It only takes one decision like that to impact your life. And not just you, it impacts everyone that loves you, everyone you love, your victim's family, everyone they love. It impacts so many people that it's beyond belief that one decision like that, It's as you can tell, it's hard to. You lose everything. You lose everything when you come in here. You lose everything. You're told when to get up, when to go to bed, how you dress, what you eat, where you go, when you go. You lose everything. All that becomes uniform when you get in here, and it's just a shame that the decisions you make, the impact they have, and like I said, for me, it's on everyone else. It is. It's just a decision that you make coming in here, and the choices that you make as a kid, and you have no idea when you do it. You have no concept of how far that one decision or that one choice is going to carry into your life and everyone that you care about.
I never went in it with the mindset of breaking the law. I went into it with, this is my friend. I want him to like me. I don't want to let him down. So he said it's going to be all right. We're going to get through this, so whatever it was. Being a real friend, so they say in the streets, a real homie, keeping it real, which means whatever your friend want to do, you down with it, no matter right or wrong. It was more or less I was just angry, and I wasn't burglarizing something because I wanted something, steal something. I was basically mad at the person. I broke their stuff up in their house. Go with your heart. A lot of times your heart telling you things not right. And the manipulation and acceptance of your friends and associates is never worth the outcome a lot of times of what they're trying to get you to do. If your heart tells you no, you shouldn't do it.
For me, it was like pretty much the people I hung out with, just being in the wrong crowd, doing things to impress people and, things like that. And I actually had a few injuries where I ended up, like stitches, things like that, where I've ended up having to go to hospital, get medications, and that kind of sparked a thing about liking to get high, but it really didn't bother me too much. And then once I got farther on into my teenage years, seeing people getting high and doing things like that, that's when I started trying stuff, just it was more along the lines of probably fitting in and, things like that, and it just progressed more into more things. Getting addicted to the drugs, the money and things like that, and just going out and, because by that time, it wasn't about to fit in and trying to impress nobody. I've already established the boundaries of addiction and things like that from the past of what was going on with trying to fit in. So then more or less it was just wanting the money, wanting to get high, things like that. So that's pretty much what led me down to doing the robberies, things like that. The days of that event, for one, like, they say, at first I was sorry because I got caught. I didn't really think about care about the consequences, things like that. I didn't care about how the people felt, things like that. I was just out for myself. And but the way it changed my life is experiencing all this stuff in prison. Like, I started off young. I was 19 years old, got sentenced to 12 years, and I just felt like life was over. So when I come to prison, I was still pretty much on the same level. I didn't care, so I was always getting in trouble. It just felt like life was over for me. So, and then the more I progressed in prison, the more I experienced, the more my eyes started opening up, like being transferred to so many different prisons, like security raises, security lowers, and then certain programs that I've participated in have actually helped me out a lot as well. I miss a lot. I miss family that's passed away that I didn't get to spend time with. My son was 4 years old when I come to prison. He just turned 15 about a week ago. You know, I missed out on a whole lot. Just freedom in general. I mean, just, hell no, it wasn't worth it. Not at all.
I've missed everything in my son's life. First steps, first, big boy cup, and, everything. First days of school. He just started high school. I've probably got an accumulated 200 hours that I've spent with my son over the last 14 years through visits and stuff. So it's definitely not been worth anything or anything that was going on at that point in my life or at any point. It's been brutal, to say the least. There's been a lot of loss over this time. A lot of family members. I lost my mother back in May. I had to watch her suffer from many illnesses over the years, and to the point where she was too sick to come and see me 5 years ago, so I didn't get to see my mom for 5 years before she passed away painfully. It's just, things that people don't think about in the split second that it takes to pull a trigger over nonsense. Like I said, sometimes it's no great mystery. It's just, it's over before you know it. It's just, you spend forever afterwards saying, what happened? What happened? What I mean? It just, sometimes you can't even figure it out. It's just not something you can take back. It's just, it's done. It's over. That's the gist of it, really. Is, sometimes it's not a big, drawn out ordeal, like you're saying, something that's planned out or not. It's just, if you're carrying guns and trying to be the big boy on the block or whatever, things are going to happen. I was supposed to leave for the Marine Corps and I didn't. That was the crossroad. That was all my bad decisions in life go back to that point in my life. From that point when the recruiter came to my house and I said, you know what, I changed my mind. It's, and sitting out in the yard, getting high, drinking, having a cookout. I'd just gotten out of a teenage institution. And everything, all these years I've sat back and thought that all my woes and bad decisions go back to that day. That day, the moment I said them words, everything has been just one car wreck after another. Everything. Really, that's the point in time when life went from bad to just, it turned into an existence after that. I haven't lived probably since then. I've just existed, just been there, life's short, it's gone before you know it, and this is no place to spend it, man. This is just no place at all to spend a third or half or the rest of your life, it's just, you lose everything. You sit in here for 20, 25 years, 30 years, whatever it may be, and, you leave with nothing. What do you have? You got a 25-year gap of employment. Nobody wants to hire a killer. Nobody wants to be around him. Nobody, especially today, everybody knows what you've done. Everybody knows your history. It only takes a second to find out, what it is you've done or what you've been involved in. It's just a no-win situation. Like I said, you lose your family. I had to watch my mother pass away from prison. I didn't get to hold her or touch her or tell her I love her for 5 years because she was too sick to come to see me. When I first got locked up, my first 6 months in the penitentiary in Lebanon Correctional, my mom come and told me she had cancer and thought she was going to die then. And it was just horrible. I mean, it was just, and then we had to fight that for the last 14 years. You know, that's just no way, you know, for nothing. I mean, for absolutely nothing. You know, when I should have been flipping a burger somewhere or doing something respectable that a man would do, you know, instead of just getting involved in foolishness and nonsense. All the things my mother and my father said, you know, you're going to regret that. Sure enough, you know, here I am, you know, I'm 40 years old, and, you know, I don't have anything, you know. Like I said, most of my family's passed away or moved away. You know, I have very little left, you know. I sit in prison alone pretty much, you know, don't really get visits no more. You know, I'm fortunate enough to talk to somebody on the phone every once in a while, but, I mean, I'm just, like I said, it's just an existence now. There's no life, there's no living.
Well, my early years, I did get in trouble, but nothing really serious. And I think that led up to where I am today. My dad was always there for me, so he kind of bailed me out of certain situations. And I really should have took the blame for my earlier mistakes. And I think that would help me out today. Changed my freedom. It changed not being around your family, people that love you the most. But your freedom is something you take for granted. I took that for granted. And I had never been in jail before, never been to prison before. So I had no idea how much you should value your freedom every day and being around your family every day. Being in here, I miss my grandmother passing away, my mother passing away, a lot of cousins passing away. Being around your sister, which she needs you the most, to help her raise her son. Boy, it changed my life in so many ways I really can't even say how many times, but family is the most important thing to me. Now it is. Now I think about it. Before I was in that fast lane and didn't think about anyone else. But during this time, it gives you time to think about what's important in your life. That's the most important. Think about what's important in your life. What do you have and what could you lose by going down the wrong road? Because that gun could easily went off. And they're thinking that they're about to get shot. Maybe I wasn't intending to shoot them. But when you're in a situation like that, anything happens. And once you hurt somebody that way, you can never take it back. You can make that split-second mistake, and that split second will cost you the rest of your life. You know, sometimes we gotta stop and think of what that split second might cost you. I think my biggest problem in my life, I didn't stop and think before I did certain things in my life. And that becomes crime, marriage, any problem you have in your life, you gotta stop and think how you want to handle that situation. If you don't, I guarantee you'll probably handle it wrong. And then you can't take it back. And that could be shooting somebody or hurting somebody in a different way. So if I had to tell some kids out there what to do first, stop and think of anything that is important in your life. Just stop and think for a second. How do you want to handle this situation? I hope this short tape helps someone. But they say saving one person means a lot. But there's more than one kid out there on the street. There are thousands. And I came from a good family. Mom and dad was at home. Dad worked. So I can't say that I came from a bad neighborhood, bad family. I just made some real bad choices in my life. And it comes back to thinking, stop and think of what you're going to do. What's your life? Don't throw it away. I'm doing 24 years. After that 24, I don't know if I'm going home or not. I got a 40-year tail. I could do the whole 40. So I just don't know where my life is going now. I don't know when my freedom is going to come back. That's in somebody else's hands now. Your life is in your hands. Don't put your life in somebody else's hands.
Physical and sexual abuse as a child. I got tired of it, and about 11 years old, I left home. I grew up basically on my own from that point. Did what I could do to survive. I got away with a lot of stuff as a minor. And finally at 18, that's when I'm having my first armed robbery. Well, you have to look at it, I've got total almost 40 years in prison. There's young kids out there that think they're smart, think they're tough. They pick a gun, they run with the crowd. It's all right with that crowd until you get locked up. Then you got still the same crowd, but each time you lose a piece of your life, more and more and more, until finally you're my age, looking back at 40 years of a gift of life that I just ruined. Look ahead, get an education, don't run in the wrong crowds. If you think that you have to pick up a gun to be a tough guy, you're wrong. This is coming from some old white guy you probably don't even believe. But I was a young white guy at one time. I did the same stupid stuff you're doing. It doesn't make you tough. Having prison number isn't a thing to have. You want to get education, you want to live your life and not give up your life. The simplest things you miss. You might want to eat. Well, here you eat what they give you. Or go to the store, which is inadequate. If you want a Subway, you can't get it. If you want a woman, you can't get it. It just tears your life apart. And this is like dead time for your life. What I'm going to do when I get out, I have no idea. I'm terrified of getting out. I'm institutionalized at this point. When I get out there, I'm almost 60 years old. I don't know what I'm going to do. There's places that most of the time you're ostracized from living, even getting an apartment. And they don't want you in their building because you're a criminal. So you got to try and get another job or another way of getting money. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have no idea. I hope you listen. I doubt you will, but I hope you listen. Like I said, I'm just an old white guy. You may see me as that and think, oh, he don't know what I'm doing, what's about my life, but I do. I know exactly what your life is. If I didn't know it myself, I've lived with people that do. Their lives are gone. 30, 40 years is just ridiculous. You have no life, you have no family. All my family is gone. Friends left a long time ago. If I died now, nobody would care. It would just be it. Don't be that. Live. Do your life right.